What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry, and we are back with another JavaScript API series episode. Alright, so in the previous episode, we did this part, right? We enabled this whistling of different base maps in the current application. So like when you click on satellite, topo, they change to topo, OSM, this changed to this beautiful base map called OpenStreetMap. And look at that. Terrain, hybrid, dark gray, all these jazz, good stuff. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, it's going back. All right, so yeah, we did that, and yeah, it was like a short episode. We did it real quick, and we did it in a generic manner where this is like an auto-generated list of buttons, and as we add more base maps, we can just add an array, and that will do the trick for us. Right? Remember, so that is the array that we built, and if we just let's just go ahead and add topo vector or hybrid. Hybrid is there, so let's just add that so I can show you what we're talking about here. So like if you copy and paste, what is going on? If you cut that, paste, save, and then we refresh. We just saw like the street nights vector base map, which I have no idea what's that. Doesn't even work. Oh, there you go. Oh, what is going on? That is beautiful. That is cool. That is cool. Our Lady. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know what this base map is, but street night view. That's like, you know, when you like using Google Map or Waze, and when I commute, I see it all the time. Like I leave at 5 a.m. and everything is dark, and the GPS or the Google Map will use this particular view because it thinks it's night. And the moment that the sun basically comes up, it will switch to, I think, the topo view, which is something like that. So it's like easier to see at night, I think, at daylight. All right, cool stuff. All right, what do you want to do today? I was thinking, these are not the layers that I really want to work with. They're not as, they don't have good data. They're just a bunch of polygons, right? So I was looking through Esri's sample server, and I found this actually, sample server 6, and there's a pretty decent set of layers like available for free, right? And you can just hit them. That's the good thing about this series. Just you don't have to purchase anything really. Just open up your textbook, open up your text notepad or Sublime Text or Brackets or any text editor of your favorite, and just start writing code, hitting those publicly available services. Right? You don't even need to create a user or anything. That is like if you want to write advanced stuff, you'll have your own portal and server and enterprise and start publishing your own layers, but we're not at that stage yet. Let's start with the basic stuff, learning basic JavaScript API here. All right, so good stuff here, right? Like pool permits, right? It has cool stuff here. So I want to point my map to stop populating this instead of that, whatever that was, right? So let's just do that, right? Maybe let's just go through the code first. Remember, that's the first function. Our code is starting to get big, and we need to start at some point doing some factorizing, doing some refactoring code. clean up. But yeah, we have the legend. We explain every single line of code here. Nothing that is written here is just randomly written, right? So that's the code, the map layer, or I think it's called map image layer. So we added on change event on that list of the services. When you change, get that layer or the service and start pointing, pull everything, right? So this is what we want to do. We want that request, instead of going to this puppy, which fetches everything obviously in JSON format, we wanted to point to this. And since both are just ArcGIS server, our code, even that, look at that. This is 10.3. This is ArcGIS server 10.3. These layers are hosted on 10.3, the one we're pulling from now. The one we're switching to is actually hosted in 10.4.1. But our code will never change because we support backward compatibility or forward compatibility. Depends how you read through it, right? So I'll just change this URL. I'll keep the JSON to that. That will be the query, all right, to pull these layers. So if I refresh my code now, pay attention. Now it is pulling this list. Can you imagine how cool our code is, guys? Look at that. Look at that. I think we did this code in the 3rd episode or the 4th one. So go back to that and see how we wrote that from scratch. All right, so we just pull that and just like that. Now this won't work if I select that because we have some hard coding here stuff to do, right? We're still pointing to the old URL. So as we construct the selected layer, we need to use the new URL, which is sample server 6, arcgisonline.com, and then select the server. Hopefully a few years from now, this server will still be available, and this as you watch this in 2020 or 2019, or these services will still be available. If it's not available, then we are in trouble. Hopefully it's not. We'll have to put something in the comments up. We'll worry about that after 4 years. All right. So let's just have fun here. Okay. So as we refresh, let's use some of the cool stuff here as a pool permit. And you notice like how our code is generic enough to actually zoom in to that service location. And remember, this is a completely different service. And our code was written in an abstract way, so it just zooms into the full extent of the layer which is loaded. And that's another promise here. So remove all the layers, add the current layer, and then after the layer is completely loaded, use the promise of that layer, and then just zoom in to that layer. So that's something we can do here. All right, let me try to convert this into an arrow function. Maybe like have it on one line so we can. Can we do that? Can we do that? Will that work? Pool permits. Yep, work. So that's the same thing, but that's the thing. We can use our arrow function here. We can also curly bracket that, and that will still work, I think. Pool permits. Look at that. Legends, everything. So yes means no permit. Yes means has permit or no permit. I'm confused. I'm really confused now. What does yes mean? No permit is 0. Layer 0. Has permit is 1. Yeah, that's a very confusing legend. I don't know. I think it means like if you don't have permit, it's a yes, and then all those guys have permit except those that, oh man, oh, has permit, it's just yellow. I don't know what this really means, but green, red, yellow, just take that, right? As I think that's what it means, right? Red do not have permit, green has, and yellow has permit. Jeez, what does that mean? Now I'm curious. All right, no permit. There you go. Pool permits with no permits, yes. They don't have permit. No, they do not have permit, which means they do. And then has permit is these guys have permit. I don't know who authored this map. I don't know. This is one of the maps that I saw. Like there are a bunch of other maps here that we can take a look at. Neighborhood shelters. Looks like it's all over the world. So I guess we're sticking to this no permit thing just for kicks. All right. Next thing. Look at that. So here is the function that will execute and zoom to the full extent when the layer is loaded. I want to do, in this episode, what I want to do is I'm going to create a table of content similar to something called table of content. Just scratches the idea of a table of content, where when you select the pool permit service map service, which is this, where's the map service? When you select the pool permit map service, I want to list all the layers that this service has, and more, I want to turn off the visibility and turn on the visibility of each layer. Does that make sense? That's what I want to do. That's the intended goal of this episode. Hopefully we can make it. All right, so let's start. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. So we have layers and we have this function. Let's clean up this code. Because we're gonna write more code here. I'm trying to make the code as pretty as possible. I don't know if I'm succeeding or not, but yeah. Map view to go to will zoom into that layer after we load it. And then after we do that, we want to do more and more stuff. We want to populate the sub layers, what they are called, right? Okay, let's explain the concept of sub layers here. All right, I have here a map service that is loaded into this map, okay? And I can access that by doing map.layers.length, let's say. And that proves that I have one layer. This is very important. That map service layer, that's the root of the map. That map has one big ass layer. That's the layer that this has. But in that layer, there are a bunch of sub layers. Okay, and let's take that opportunity to see, like, map.layers.items sub0 will give me the first layer, which is the map service layer. Again, that's this. And if I do .title, that will give me a pool permits, which is this map service layer. Okay, that is very important to understand. So in this map, I have one layer. Oh, it's a bit confusing when you say a layer. But yes, I have one layer in this map, and that layer name is called pool permit. And that's the layer object. If I do .sublayers.length, I'm going to get how many sublayers in that layer. Does that make sense? In this case, we got 2. Let's find out something that has more. Oh, that's a beautiful military. Let's pull military in. Military has a lot of layers, sub layers. Pull the military. There you go. Look at that. All right. We have. Oh, let's refresh maybe. Military map.layers.length. Again, we have one. .items sub0 .sub.title. Let's make sure that's military layer. .sublayers .length. That gives me 1. That's odd. Why do we have 1? You'd think it has like more than 1. Ah, look at that. The map service layer. All right. I don't want to go through this. Maybe we should just explain it. So in this case, this is a very complicated case. All right. So this has like a sub layers, and each layer has another sub layer. So as far as this map is concerned, the layer, that's one big layer, one layer. And if you're asking how many sub layers do you have, this is actually one layer. I can't cover that by my hand, of course. All right, so all these are actually sub layers of this main sub layer. So if you ask what is the sub layer, you're gonna get this. All right. So if I do item sub0.title, I'm gonna get fm5 whatever, right? So let's select the second one. The second one is actually the feature service has a flat. That's a better way to do it. Yeah, that's when I do length, still loading the map service layer. Yeah, maybe this is a bad example. Let's select something else. Map server. We're looking at map servers. Map servers with something else. That's 3. Redlands emergency vehicles. Let's pull that. Redlands emergency vehicles. Obviously that's somewhere in Redlands. If I do length, I get 3. That makes sense, right? We will do that group layer thing, and I want to do it in another episode because it's a bit delicate topic and needs some more time to explain. So recreational, just one layer. Vertical lines, one layer. Wind turbines, that's another one layer. Yeah, service request, another one layer thing. Let's stick to our pool permit simple example. All right, pool permit. I go back to the pool permit example, and we have 2 layers there. You get the idea? We don't want to go through group layers now and layers of layers of layers. We'll do that in another episode, so we'll just do a simple example in this episode. All right, so you saw that, right? So I can now use map.layers.items.sub0.title, which will give me the first layer, no permit, right? Oh, has permit. It's a bit. It is not ordered, right? So that's the index-based layer. So each layer, if you notice, has something called the layer ID, and that's how we uniquely identify layers. And I want to use that to get a sub-layer. In this case, I'll pull the no permit layer by its ID. And to do that, you do map.layers.items. On that main map service layer, you'll call find sub-layer by ID. And I want layer 0, and give me the title of that. And that title is no permit. Coolish, isn't it? That's coolish. Has permit, that's layer ID 2. 1. 2, you're gonna get an error because there's no layer ID 2 in this service. Does that make sense? And then you can do all these cool things, right? Like turn a layer to be invisible. I made a layer disappear. Look at that. And now turn that one back on. Look at that. So you notice that we can interact with the layers just like that. So we understood how we fetch a layer and turn it off and on. So we have the basic building blocks of how we build a table of content. So all we have to do is just really populate some list and then start authoring this code to interact with this map in a generic manner. All right, how can we do that? How can we do that? First of all, we need some place to put my table of content. So I'm gonna call it ID TOC, right? And in that TOC, I will generically, just like we created the buttons generically, right? On the runtime, we created all these buttons. We're gonna do the same thing with the talk. All right, you gotta talk the talk. That is so silly. I'm sorry, guys. Try to be funny sometimes, but it doesn't work. My wife always tells me that he's trying to be so funny. Try too hard. All right. Map view go to layered at full extent. All right, so beautiful. All right, are you guys ready? First of all, let talk equal document dot get element by ID. Give me the talk. All right. So we got the main element talk, and in that element, I need to loop through all sublayers in that layer. And good thing is, like, we have the layer object, so I don't need to say map.layers.items.0. I don't have to do all that. All right, I just do layer dot sublayers dot length. So let's do our loop here. For let I equal 0, I list them layer dot sublayers dot length. I always mistake length for count. I know I said this a lot maybe, but I'm used to C# and it's always everything is count, and when I come to JavaScript everything is a length. So yeah, first world problems, I know. All right, what do we have here? We loop through all the sublayers. What do you want to do? We want to create a checkbox. All right, and some of you asked me, it's like, do I have to learn HTML before jumping into this series? I know it's a bit late in the game now. This episode 7, you probably know HTML if you're watching this, but frankly, you don't. Right, I'm not an expert in HTML and CSS. Like in this case, like just now, right? How do I create a checkbox? I have no idea how the checkbox looks like in HTML. Do you think I remember that? I don't. All I have to do is go to W3 Schools, right? And then go search, and then just type checkbox. Not checkbox, obviously. I meant checkbox. And then, oh, there you go. So that's how you create a checkbox. Yeah, I know. Everything is available on the internet. If there's a developer that tells you, oh, I memorize every single thing, good for you, kudos for you, but you don't have to do that, right? You don't have to memorize every single line of code or every single possible function. People search, right? It's not a shame to be like, if you don't remember a function, or unless you're an expert in your field, of course it's going to save you a lot of time to know every single, but I know you have other things to do. So yeah, there it is. So that's how you create a checkbox, right? So it's an input of type checkbox. There is nothing called checkbox like that, unfortunately. So that's what I would have tried at the beginning. I would have created an element called checkbox, but It doesn't exist, right? So let check equal document dot create element, and then we call it not checkbox because this will fail. It's an input element, and then the type of that is a checkbox. Is that correct? Yes, sir. And then if you notice, there's no text for that. It's a pretty bad element too, if you ask me. I don't like this. This is very old HTML type. I don't know if you can do just do checkbox. That would be great. I mean, you can do a button. I don't know why wouldn't you do that? Yeah, it doesn't like it, see? Alas. Anyway, checkbox. So you create a checkbox. The ID of that checkbox, do we need an ID for that? I'm gonna put a value. I don't think we need an ID. The value of that will be the layer ID. Mark my word, this is very important. What is the layer, the sublayer ID here? It's sublayers dot items sub I dot layer ID. See, this I don't know as well. So what I would do is go back to this puppy, do that, and then just do dot layer ID and try layer ID and just try ID. There you go, it's just ID. Alright, it's not layer ID, it's just ID. That's good, that's good. We do ID, there you go. Alright, so we'll create an ID. And after we created that checkbox, we save the value to be the ID of that layer. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But we also need a label. And that label will actually be added to the, so you know what, let's just add that so you can understand what I mean by that. And then let's just refresh. If I refresh, pool, where are you, pool? Pool permits. So we did create that, but we forgot to add them to the list. Alright, so TOC.append child. There you go. There's my two checkboxes. They're at the bottom. Okay, we can always put them at the top. That's what she said. All right. So you notice, like, there, I can't put text in that. That checkbox is just that square. I can't put any text in that, so I need a label. All right, and that's something I know. That's why I just tried to jump the gun. That's an American term I learned, by the way. Jump the gun. I never heard about it before coming here. Lots of proverbs. I don't know. Is that what you said? We told them. What do you call these? Proverbs, pronouns, proverbs, sayings that. Oh, God damn it, Hussein! What are you talking about? All right, let's create a label. I'm sorry. I don't want to jump the gun here. So label the text content is equal to layer dot sub layers dot. Let's be decent, guys, okay? Let's try to use some decent coding here, right? That's better, right? Give me that sublayer and then muck with it. Instead of writing all these layers of the items, the sub title. And then we have to obviously to add append that child. Then we do boop. Okay, what happened here? All right. Pool. No, not phone incident. Pool permits. Dispatch. that's a bug, dude. That is cool. Pool permits. We'll get to that bug. Right? Maybe in the next episode. I don't want to do it now. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. We'll see. Has permit, no permit. Now, what we're gonna do is we'll control these puppies. When we do that, we'll uncheck. When we do that, but by default, see, these are visible, right? Why are not, when I load this, they should be checked, right? Who can tell me what to do in this case? When I do, I want to preserve the state of the sublayers and update my checkbox accordingly. I know my checkbox look ugly as if, and I am really sorry about that. Make them more beautiful in the next episode. I'm just throwing everything in the next episode. You guys are saying that he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it. All right, check.checked. I think it's checked. I'm not sure, but I didn't check. Ha 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 ha. That is awful. I didn't check, but I think it's checked, right? The state is whether checked is true or not is basically sublayer.visible. All right, I never tested that, so I'm not sure. Checked is the property whether it is true or false, right? And visible is also true or false. So we're taking the state of the visibility of that layer and we'll set it to the state of that checkbox input element. Yeah, go sir. Look at that. Beautiful. Yes, queen. All right. Let's do that. Continue. Create element, visible, check. All right. What are we missing here, guys? What are we missing? We are missing. Can you read these, guys? Okay, this is a function, and that's a promise, and I want to execute that when I do that. Now, that's where it's going really down the drain, right? We're writing functions inside functions inside functions inside functions, and next thing you know, you're lost. I have no idea if I can even read this code now. We have to do some serious architecture with this, all right? All right, this is really concerning. Check dot. We have done this a lot. Not append. Add event listener. I know it's listener. I'm not that idiot, but at one point I used to pronounce it listener. Okay, when I was like 6, but now I know. Like, teacher really give me a hard time on that. Listener. And not only that, like even that, right? I was actually saying it right. Laugh all you want, guys. Laugh at my misery with English, man. English. Yeah, we usually when I grow up, like where I grew up learning English when I was basically 10 years old. I learned English, so my English is not as good as someone who's like native language, but yeah. Listener, we add a listener when you click or you change. Well, let's just say click. When you click, I want to add a function. Hopefully this is one line of code and save us all the misery, and that will be map layer dot find sub layer, but I have to get the exact thing. Map dot layers dot find sub layer by ID. So it's like Pascal thingy, right? It's just Pascal's code. Where is it? Find layer by ID, and the ID of that layer is, we need the target element here. and give me that e.target.value. The value is the ID. Again, guys, if you don't understand anything, please ask questions. That's what this forum is for, right? If you don't understand something, just write it. And I don't even know what I'm writing, so we're in the same boat. So if you ask questions, you basically, yeah, we're in the same boat. So e.target.value, find sublayer.value. So I want to find that layer, which is that checkbox, and we explained that in the previous episode. That's the clicked element, which is the checkbox, hopefully. And then e.target.value, and then I want to make that into the e.target.checked. Oh, let's see if that works. We might need another kind of element here. We might need to choose another kind of event other than click, but let's check. Ooh, cannot set property visible of undefined. All right, good stuff. Let's debug. All right, guys. All right, let's do that. We did that layer. So it says that this was undefined. So let's see why that was undefined. So maybe let's just do let. Some of you will try to use sublayers. Don't do that. This will be executed at a much later state where this variable is destroyed. Clicked layer, right? Give me that. So what is that? Let's just alert that. Clicked layer dot title. Right? Then just do that. We'll debug. That's the beauty of debugging, coding. Are we recording? That would be a disaster if I wasn't recording all this time. That looks like I think a longer episode. Feels like it. Cannot read property of undefined. Alright, so this was undefined. Let's see why this is undefined. What is this value? Why is this? Alert e.target.value. And then pull, click. 1, that's correct. 0, that's even correct. Yeah. All right, so we know that this is correct, but layer. How about you? Are you set here? Maybe that is not set. That's what I'm afraid of. If not, then we have a solution. It is an object. Okay, so we have layer. It is set. Pool permit. No, pool permit. Okay, that's the layer name, all right. We have that, and we know that's 1. Layer dot find sublayer by ID and click layer, and this is returning as undefined. I wonder why. Why are we returning that as undefined? That's fascinating. Find sublayer by ID. We got that layer. And it says cannot read property title of undefined IG 100. That is amazing. I can't think of anything that this breaks it. Layer define sublayer by ID. You give me the e.target.value, which is the layer ID, which is 0 or 1, and I have the layer loaded. So if I say layer define sublayer by ID, and I say 0, and that returns me the sublayer. Huh. It's absolutely fascinating that this doesn't work. All right, time for debugging. Whoa, what? Why? How do you know it was undefined though? It's amazing. All right. So that is a 1. The only thing I can think of, this is takes a string, and that he doesn't like that this is being a string, which is really troubling if it's the same, if this is the case, because that takes a number. That actually might be the problem, guys. Let's try that. If I passed a 0 here, right? If I passed a 0 as a string, there you go. That's the bug. That's the bug. We found it. We gotta convert string into an integer, and I don't know how to do that in JavaScript, so gotta Google it. JavaScript convert string to a number. Come on, guys. Number. Thank you, guys. It's just number. Number. So we do a number. Is it that? Number. We do number of that. And then look at that. This all nuances after argument list. What did I do now? What did I break? Missing after arguments list. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, guys. No permit. How about that? How about that? How about that? How about that? We did it. We did it, guys. This is a beautiful. Holy. Oh man, that was painful. All right, so we learned something. Obviously, I really didn't think that would be the problem, but I just guessed it, and it was true. So here's a brief crack of the bug that we just saw. So we took that ID, sublayer.id, and sublayer.id, all right, if you noticed, is actually a number, right? It's just a number, okay? Sublayer.id is a number, and then if you take that number and put it in a string, that which is a value is a string object, that number will be converted into a string, okay? And then what you do here is like you turn around and on click you want to use that, you pass it as it is as a string to this function, which is a function that Esri has written, right? This function, and it says like this is expecting a string, and if it's a string, just return undefined. We don't want it. We don't cast it. We don't do anything with it, right? It's just invalid. So this returns an undefined variable, basically, which we try to use it, which in turn just trash our code, right? So what we do is we converted that value into a number, and then in number we pass that number into the find sublayer boy-id, and then we return that value, and then it's like this is an episode of Game of Thrones, I swear, this accents. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. The clicked layer, and then click layer.visible equal e.target.check, and that, since this is a string, we don't really care. Okay, and seems to be working. Where's our stuff? Pool permit. Look at that. And let's see if our stuff is really generic or not. Look at that. fire, police, ambulance. Probably that's just wildfire. Doesn't work. Let's go to 911. Call hotspots. You saw the bug right here, and you want me to fix it, right? Oh man, that's probably is gonna be an easy fix, but yeah, all that 911 call spot, just everything has just disappeared. Da. All right, just one big ass. All right, let's fix that. Okay, so you know what's this problem, right? We're appending to the TOC, but we never clean it up. So we need to clean it up. We need to clean it up just like we did with the buttons, right? And what we do with the buttons is, how do we clean up the buttons again? We never actually clean up the buttons because it's not interactive. So to clean up, really, we have to do it here. Remove all. Right after that, we get the TOC, and then I really don't know how to do it, but I'm going with this as a start. I don't really trust it, but we'll check. Come on. 911 works. We're cleaning stuff. What did we select? That was cool. Notes. Look at the people leaving notes in the ocean. Naperville shelter. Shelters. All right. Toronto. My Canadian friends. Well, guess we don't have anything in Toronto. Water network. Turbines. Is this Palm Springs? Yeah, this is Palm Springs. You all saw that the 10 wind turbine that we have in Palm Springs, like literally 10 or 12, maybe more. The people from Denmark, they came at our office once and they said like, yeah, we told them, yeah, we have wind turbines in Palm Springs. And it's like, okay, we have like 500,000 of them. Denmark. It was like, oh God. That was embarrassing, but yeah, the people in Denmark really, the Dutch really depend on wind turbine. Kudos for them, right? Shout out for all people from Europe here for watching this. All right, okay, guys, I think we fixed our problem. We fixed the bug, and this is not looking very beautiful. I swear I'm gonna fix that when I fix the group layer problems, which I'll show you now. If you pull the military, we'll actually just list one layer, although the military has more than one layer. So it has like one, this, and this. We're gonna do this basically, this structure here, but in a better format. Okay, guys, really apologize about these bugs, but this is how we learn. We're gonna face the bugs. I know the episode will grow in length. Do tell me if you want me to cut these debugging part from the episodes and make it short. If I do find a bug, do let me know in the comment section. Do you want to watch me debug a problem that I face, or just you don't understand, you just wanted the solution? So I would, if you vote that, hey, cut that part, we're not interested in your debugging, finding the problem, so just cut that part and just give us the solution. I can do that. Obviously, it's just okay. I can pause and just search for the solution without it takes 10 minutes or an hour, obviously. But yeah, do let me know if you really this is something you want. But yeah, I do this for you guys, so I really enjoy whatever these problems throw at us, right? These small things that everybody will basically run into, right? I'm gonna run into a lot of bugs. This is all new territory, even for me. I'm not an expert JavaScript programmer at all, right? Just I do this for fun. I do this in my free time. Today's what, Saturday? Today's Saturday. All right. All right, guys. I think I'll stop here. I'm gonna see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We're gonna do more fun stuff in the next one. Thank you for watching. This is Hussein Nasser signing off. Goodbye. You take care.